Hello, once again, this is Marsha Criollo. For today's video, we will be doing Autocad. We will learn the basic tools and basic commands such as line, erase, circle, zoom, move, and all those basic commands that we will use through our engineering career. And as we learn more Autocad, we will use more higher standards commands. But this will be basic commands that we will use throughout a lot of floor planning, a lot of like designing. So to start off, I must say that there's two ways to draw in AutoCAD. The first way is by clicking on the icons located on the top, as you will see in my arrows pointing at. And then the second way is by writing the command in this section at the bottom where it says type a command. So I'm going to show you really quick. When you click line, it tells you to specify a point. You create a line and then you just draw anywhere. So this is the first way, is by clicking on the icons located on the top. And then to exit the command, always press enter. The second way is by writing it on the top, on the bottom place where it says type command. So in this one, I'm gonna do a polygon. You write POL and it tells you polygon. It says specify the number of size. I'm gonna do 8. Then after that, specifies the center. Right now, just anywhere, inscribe, and I'm gonna pick a radius of 5. Enter. Now, this is the two ways on how to draw an AutoCAD. Now, the way I erase is by first clicking and then moving my mouse to my left and then writing erase. That's the fast way. The second way is by clicking on the icon on the top and then doing it one by one. And then you're clicking on the lines one by one. This is a very long way on how to do it. So like I recommend you just doing the first way because it will save you some time when you're trying to erase a big drawing. And then you press enter right there. So the design that we will be doing for today's AutoCAD lesson is a wrench in which we got provided with the dimensions as well. We're going to be drawing in a scale 1:1. With this image, we will do the same drawing provided with dimensions in AutoCAD. So the first thing that I did was set the limits. I personally like setting the limits first because it helps me acknowledge and understand where my drawing area will be. To do that, I write limits and I put 0, 0. And then I set my limits to be 10.5 times 8. I put 10.5, comma, 8. Once I put enter, you will see that there's no effect on my grid. However, I will go into grid settings, make sure my snap X spacing is 0.5, make sure my grid X spacing is 0.5, and I will change my measure line every 2, 4. That's what I learned in my first AutoCAD lesson. Then you will unclick display grid beyond limits. Once you have that done, you press OK. And then you will see over here in the small area that will be your drawing. That will be your drawing area. After I have my limits done, I set up the borders. The borders are connected into the corners of my limits. To do that, I did rectangle. And then I did as the first point, I did it as 0 over 0, enter. And then my other one will be 10.5, 10.5 to 8. Right there as display right there, that will be your borders and my borders as well. Then after that, what I did was to draw the entitled boxes right here. So what I like doing is basically having the borders and all those small features for like drawing first, so then I will know where to locate my dimensions and locate my drawings and where to start. So to do this, I went to rectangle. Let's start it off as I started off here and then I connected it over here. And when drawing this, you put line, you click it right here, and then over here. So when doing this, always make sure to have the snap section on, which is right here, because this will help you when connecting lines, such as trying to know where the midpoint is, where the end point is, and all of those important stuff. Now I will do the in-between line. So I put line, connect the midpoint to my other midpoint right here, and then do the same thing for the top line, midpoint to midpoint, enter. So once I have that done, I'm gonna start my drawing section. So to do this, I had some difficulties on understanding the degrees. So to fix this problem, what I did first was to draw the first design in a vertical way. So I made sure that it was going vertically, and then when I had the whole design provided with the dimensions and with its correct angles and everything, I moved it and rotate it so it would be in the same way provided on the sheet right here. So to do this, I first hit the I press line and started at any point like towards right here. Then I got to specify that it has to be 0.4. Then I got the angle to be 45 degrees. Then I used the polar coordinate, which you press add, you give the distance that you want it to be, and then you put the degree, which I'm gonna use here 45 degrees. Enter. Do the same thing. You do 45 plus 45, which will be 90 now. And then for easy ways, you could just turn on the ortho, so it helps you know where to do it. So I'm over right here and then put 0.4 as well. And then the same thing. And then turn my ortho off to the other angles. I'm gonna do polar 0.4, add 90 plus 45 will be 135. So it will be add 135 degrees. Now we would do 180 degrees. Add 0.4 degrees, 180, and then will be the next angle will be at 0.4, and the degree will be 270. I mean 225 in this situation. 225. And then after you have that, I will just connect it. Connect line right there. 270. Polar coordinates 0.4, and then 270. And then after that, I will just connect it right there, and it tells you specifically that's going to be 45 degrees. You click it, boom, that's done. Now we will do the top part of our design, which is going to be the stem, and we got the dimension to be 1.20. To start that, we do line, we click the point, and then we turn on ortho to help us locate, and then we do 1.20, and then the distance will be right here, 0.40, and then we connect it to the one on the bottom. Perfect. Now we will be drawing the third part of our drawing, which is the top head over here. Through this, I basically had problems on determining the degree. Instead, I found another way how to do this. I set it up line, comma, and then I got the dimension. I got the dimension saying that the distance from the starting point over here is 0.40. 0.40, and then I press enter, and also got here to be 0.40. Boom. Once I had that done, I connected this point to my point over here. Now once I had that done, I went to line again, and then I went to 0.40. So once I keep doing that, I did the same thing over here. I also did 0.40 again to go straight. Put lines. 0.40. And then we're gonna move in. Then make sure you not be the right dimensions. You always have to make sure it's right. You said here you go in 20. It's gonna be the total of the distance from here. It's 20. So once you have that, you go line, boom, endpoint 0.40, and then from the same place, I go over 20. 0.20, enter. Now I press escape, line, connect the point that I just found right there, and then we'll connect it to the other point that I just created it. Just right there, enter. So I kept doing the same thing after this. This length downwards, we got the dimension to be 0.40 as well. Now we went 0. Then we went, command line. We went down 0.40. And then for this section, I went down 20 degrees because the full section would be 60. I went down 20 degrees and then I went over 10. So I went down 0.20 and then over I went 0.10. After that, I connected those two. This starting point right here, this starting point, and then I went to the one that I previously selected, which is right there. Enter. Now it tells me that from here to here it's 0.20. Line, I go 20, 0.2, and then I do the same thing. And then over here, I do 0.10. I'll go up 0.20, connect those two over there, enter. Then I go line again, line, select my specific point. And then I go up 40 degrees because I got provided at 40 degrees. 0.40, enter, and escape, and then to zoom in, right there. And then I also got saying that this section over here is 20, so I will go line, 0.20, boom. And then I will do the same thing that I did on my right side to construct the other side of this wrench. And then I went 20 degrees to the other side, 0.20, enter. Then I went down 0.40. After this, I connected my endpoint, to 120. enter. Now I got my dimensions saying that each length will be 40 degrees. Line, this will be 0.40, enter. And then after that, I will just connect it to my other endpoint, enter. Once this is done, we're gonna use the command trim to erase those lines that are not needed in our drawing. We go right here, we select the ones that we don't want it to be. In this case, we're not gonna use the command in which you erase all of it because you're gonna erase the whole tool. Once you select the ones you wanna erase, you press erase and we have this right there. So once I had all my dimensions and all my first drawings, what I did was that I rotated my image. So the way I rotated was by first putting join, in which I wanted my lines to join. I joined all the lines because like right now these lines are just single lines. So if I want to move this, not all the lines are gonna move. So I'm gonna join these all lines. So when I move, all of them will move as well. So this is not the finished product. It's just that I'm teaching you really quick on what I did to rotate it. Once I have that done, I press enter and it's joined. Now I'm gonna put rotate, and then I'm gonna select the item, and item selected, and then find the ending point. Now we'll rotate it. Right now I'm gonna turn off ortho, and then in your drawings it's something like this, right? So what I did it like this. When I had it like that, I use this command use move, and did the same thing, selected the object, and then I pressed enter, set a base, and moved it up right there, enter. Once I had this done, I basically when I had this done completed, I used this, I copied this and use a scale factor of 2 to make a double. This will reduce your time on creating the second part. So the good thing about Autocad is that once you have a drawing and then you want the drawing in a different scale or in a different scale factor, you could just copy, paste it, and write scale, and then put the scale that you want your dimensions to go into. So that's what I did to do my second drawing on the top. So after I did all this necessary stuff, my final results were this. I'm telling you that like the first thing is to draw this first design. Once you have this done, it's easy to copy it and draw this other one by just changing the scale, by changing the factor into 2. So this is my final product, and then by checking the dimensions, you go over here, and then you will see that my dimensions are right with the ones we got in our design. We click over here, and we click over here. It's also 40, and then over here it's 20 as what we got provided. So all the dimensions are basically right. So that shows that my design is super similar to the design that we got to do for homework for our first Autocad design. So this will be the end of my video on the way I drew my design. So some advice on Autocad is by always finding a shortcut on how to do some stuff. So it will like decrease the time you spend on doing Autocad. The good thing about Autocad is, like I told you at the beginning, that Once you have the first drawing set and you want the same drawing into a different scale factor, you could just copy it and move it and change the factor by putting a scale factor and scaling it to any scale factor you want. In this situation, I scale it to 2. So that's the good thing about Autocad. The hard thing about Autocad, especially if you're a beginner, is that you don't know how to control the mouse, or you don't know how to, or you don't know the commands by heart. So these are like the hard parts. But like, honestly, I like doing Autocad than doing on a hand, because it reduces time, and then you know the dimensions are also more accurate than the ones that you do drawing your scale, your engineering scale. So there is a benefit, and then I would definitely use Autocad than just doing my drawings on hand, because it's much easier and faster. So as you learn, you will be learning new ways on how to do, on how to like transform this design into Autocad more faster. So it took me a good 2 hours to do this design, but it actually helped me, and it gave me the basic understandings on lines, on dimensions. So it's a good way to start off, as a beginner. And yes, so that will be the end of my video. So I'm happy with my final results, because all my dimensions are accurate and are correct to the dimensions that we got on the paper for the homework. Before that, when you want to print, always make sure you go to plot, because this is an important way, because this is the most important thing when you're trying to print, because if you print it to fit on paper, your whole dimensions are going to be wrong, so you automatically get everything wrong. Yeah, right, like really quick, I'm going to say I'm gonna fox it. Always letter, display to limits, center to plot, and then macro, and then you put preview. And then this is what you will see, and this is what you will print. I did not finish my dimensions yet, but this is like this was the my results. But after I add all my dimensions, all the proper dimensions we provided here. So as you can see, my limits are good. My scale to 1 factors are good. They look pretty good. So once you see this, you could print it out. Escape, and then you could just cancel. So that will be the end of my video. I hope you learned something from it, and stay in for the next video. Thank you.